Internet is not going to misbehave today. Okay, so I've gone live there. Okay,
Of the questions.
so we are live. Hello, hello, hello. I just want to say hello to everybody. I want to say thank you to everyone who's followed this 5 weeks of start with why. So this is our global virtual book club where we read a book every month, and then we're here every week for reflections. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Esomeme, and my co-host is Dr. Neze Owankwo.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so today is week 5. So we did week 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the last week. January had 5 weeks, so we split it into five. So this is the last week. Nese, what are your thoughts so far?
I didn't want the book to end. It was so good. Like the end had so many gems. It's like everything, he pulled everything together and I kind of wanted it to keep going. So I really enjoyed this book. It was a fun read for me and I took it very personal, just kind of inventorying my why and a little bit of how and what. It was really an introspective a book for me, and especially starting this book in the new year. That was very clever of you, Gloria. So it's kind of helping me evaluate my goals or reevaluate my goals and why I'm doing them, like what is keeping me going. And we'll get into it a little bit about consistency, commitment. So, um,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, we've shown up every week, so that's some consistency that we've shown. We've
Yeah.
been here every week, even when it was not convenient with your kids, with work. You still
Mhm.
made sure you were here and you completed the book. So yes.
Yeah.
And just to I for me overall, and if your kids want to join, except you don't want your kids to show, it's fine, they're welcome to the book club. um, for me, it was just like it helped. So many things just became more clear to me. um I know that there was a part of the book that was talking about success and achieving, you
Hmm.
know. And there was no time I ever saw myself as someone who was not successful, but at the same time there were times I struggled because I would have this list of things I had to do, and God knows it's almost impossible for me to achieve all the things that are on my to-do list on a daily basis. So I
Hmm.
would feel there's a sense of disconnect that I would have. I'm like, I know I'm doing great, but I still feel like I'm not achieving. Then he just kind of
Hmm.
explained it, and that gave me just a little bit of peace. Hey Gracie, I see you. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so that, yeah, so that just kind of gave me a little bit of peace. Would I recommend this book? Yes, I would recommend it to anyone who, I recommend it to everybody, and much more to people who are trying to build anything. So your
Yeah.
your why is clear. You start very, it's just crystal clear, and it's the kind of book that you read, and then once you've gone into your business to a certain extent, you want to go back and read the book.
Reread it.
Just
Right.
yes. And if you're online and you've read the book and you have any thoughts, please share. I would want to know your thoughts, just so we can learn from
Yeah.
you as well.
Yeah. I
It's
would
a book.
also recommend this. Sorry.
Mhm. I was just gonna say it's a book that you have to read. Go back and read at certain intervals.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think really it's good for anyone at any point in their life. I know that's like a really large audience, but even if you're a student or you're beginning your entrepreneurship journey, or you've been, I don't know, a business owner for 5 years, because you can always learn something, right? And I
Hmm.
believe the book says for those who inspire people and who want to inspire others. So it's both introspective and also external. So you get a bit of both worlds. And like I said, very early on, it gives you kind of a behind the scenes look at some organizations by reading anecdotes from successes as well as failures, because those two are important. You want to learn
Correct.
about what worked and maybe what was the reason why something worked, and vice versa, why you can see the result it didn't work, and then go back and say, okay, maybe these are some pointers why it didn't work. And you obviously you don't want to repeat the mistakes of others. You will definitely make your own, but you can learn from other people and see what their model look like. So it's very helpful, and I would encourage others to read it. And now I don't have a business, right? I'm not a business owner. I am not an entrepreneur per se, but it was very helpful for me to think about what my why is career wise, and also things that I give my attention to.
Right.
Yeah, I think really everyone at any point in their life could find gems in this book, and it could apply it to their lives.
That's so true. And even with friendships, like this past week, there were some people I met and I was trying to align myself. There were some that I sat down and I asked myself, I'm like, why am I trying to be friends with these people? And I could really articulate the why and I stuck to it. Then others, I'm like, there's no alignment here, there's no points the why was not clear there, so I was just like, okay, I'm going to take steps back. So I am applying it in different aspects of my life, like not in the same way like if you're analyzing the business, but just that concept of why, just asking myself, why am I doing this stuff that I'm doing, just so I'm not going with the flow and I don't know where that flow is leading to. It's just that clarity of why am I doing what I'm doing. So it's been
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yes.
Okay, so let's if anybody has any ideas, any thoughts, please put it there and we'll read it out to the group. So we'll
Yep.
start with the first question we have from our guide. So have you
Hmm.
seen success cause loss of purpose, personally or professionally?
Hmm.
Oh,
Ooh.
so there's a question. There's a question on Instagram. So that's from Gracie. She said, should the why always be clear at the beginning?
Ooh. I mean, according to this book, definitely, because your why drives your how and your what, right?
Yes.
So if you're very clear on your why in the beginning, it will help you not to make some mistakes. Not, hopefully, um, kind of help you go in the right direction and not like distract you or take you back. Like it helps you form your direction, and helps you to kind of weed out what like what kind of decisions to make. I think it makes your decision making um, easier and more streamlined. Yeah, and then it also, for example, it will help you determine if you're hiring people, do people get your why? So you want to make sure that whoever you have around you is have has a very good understanding of like why you're doing what you're doing. Someone who actually gets it, like in the beginning, and then it turns out to maybe people who actually get it to
Yeah.
run a successful organization. That's my take.
I agree with you. And even though Simon Sinek, he sounds very pious, very he's a good guy. His motives are always, great to add value. He wants to inspire people, but that's not everybody. And there's this guilt people start to feel when their why is I want to make money. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So a few days ago, I was recording one of my podcasts and I had a lady there. Her name is Fari. And we're talking about why do people start podcasts? That you should be clear. Some people do it because they want to be famous. Some people do it because they want to make money from it. Some people do it because people do it for different reasons. I think you should own your why. Whatever it is, then it becomes deception if your why is money, and then you're trying to act like, oh, I just want to add value to the world. Please just own your why, and just, just own it. Just be bold and own
Yeah.
it. And there's no, yes, money makes the world go round. Money, you need to pay bills, and if that's it, you say yes, that's, I want to. But maybe you could now ask yourself, why do I want to make money? Then that would now help you clarify that why. But I don't think there's anything wrong with people wanting, you're getting into a business just because you want to make a profit. That,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. People can argue otherwise, and that's still okay. I own my opinion and I stand by it. In years to come, if my opinions change, I would say my opinions have changed.
Yeah.
We want to add value to life. Obviously, my personal why is not money, but I also understand how people begin to feel guilty and they're not really able to say their why, and then you begin to see this connection between what they call their why and their how and their what, and you're wondering why. It's just because society would judge them for being honest about what their real why is all about. All right, so we'll go on to, I hope that kind of helped a little bit, Grace. So we'll go on to the questions where we talked about, have you seen success cause loss of purpose personally or professionally?
Hmm.
I would say yes. There's a story that just crossed my mind because I was looking at this question all this while and I was trying to look for a good example, but I just couldn't find one. But I remember when I was in secondary school, there was this guy who, he was an average student. Then there was this time he came first, like in the whole class, like in the whole arm. He was, because many people split to science class and art class, the way it was structured in Nigeria. Once they split, then the top students, their grades came down because they split into science, and it was so hard to have high scores in science, and he was art. He became so arrogant, and we were just like, what's going on with this person? So because he came first, it got into his head and he became a different person. So I don't know if that's a case of why, of success now, now making his why unclear. But that's just an example of someone could, success could get into your head. But Simon
Hmm.
Sinek gave lots of examples in the book. He talked about Walmart, how Walmart initially they had it going, and then
Hmm.
because he passed on, the why became fuzzy. He described even his own life, how his why became fuzzy. So,
Yeah.
and let me read. We have a few questions. So hey Zohair, how are you? Like he said, so Zohair said, once you know the why, the entire team rallies. For example, changing diapers is not pleasant, but once you know it produces a healthier baby, which is the why, changing diapers becomes easier to justify. I
Yeah.
agree with that. And then
Yeah.
Gracie said, don't you think you can miss out some great opportunities doing so? I guess what you don't know, you don't miss. Make it, love it, make it clear on it. Yes, we can't live life with FOMO. You can't keep having, the fear of missing out. You can't spread yourself so thin trying to grab all the opportunities. Your why will make you know what opportunities to grab and what opportunities not to grab.
Yeah, this thought just came to me. So when we say knowing the why, just think of it like you're in a car, right? And you're going to somewhere, you have a destination in mind, right? So I feel like the destination could be your why. So everything that you do is going to you want everything that you do to help you get to that destination, right? You're not
Correct.
going to like give into a distraction here and there. But even if you do, you get back into the car and you're like, okay, we know where we're headed, and we go there, right? So I feel like if you really get to the bottom of your why, some of those decisions get easier, right? So you are working towards the same goal. And when something doesn't fit or align, it's kind of easy to weed out. It could probably, you know, take that into friendships or business partnerships, or, if you are a top executive, for example, and you've been doing it for a long time, you kind of, with that experience, kind of decisions to make, when to say yes, when to say no, and kind of a little bit predict how something would go, if it's favorable to your organization or not. So I think you begin with your destination in mind. I think that's why sometimes those people who create organizations are called visionaries, because you have it's clear in your mind what you want to do, but you may not know what or how to do it. So that's where other people come in. I feel like I keep going back to this point, but just knowing where you're going. Um, yeah, I think that helps.
Yes.
We have a comment from Zahir saying digging a hole in the ground is not pleasant, but once you know you're digging to help build a hospital, it is meaning and it becomes pleasurable. And then there was another analogy where two people were asked, "What are you doing?" One says, "I'm building a cathedral." And I think, what did the other person say? I am working hard every day. I'm exhausted. So
Yes.
one
It
is
wasn't linked to
aligned,
any big purpose.
right? What do you say?
It wasn't linked to any big purpose. Two people doing the
Right,
same thing, but one linked it
right,
to something bigger.
exactly.
Hey, Stephanie.
So, yeah. So, shall
So,
we move
so
on?
what?
Thank you for all the comments and everyone who is joining. We see you. Thank you for being here.
Yes. So, what's your thoughts on the first question in the guide?
Yeah, on success versus, if it can be can you
A
repeat the
deterrent.
question? A
Yes.
deterrent. Yeah, I think that question it makes me think about success versus achievement, right? If
Mm,
you're chasing something that is more of an achievement, like a diploma, right? Whereas success, well, I think you have to define what success is to you,
to you.
right? And then you also have to define what achievement means. Achievement could be you hit a certain number on the scale, or you graduate with your diploma, right? But after that, what happens after that, right? You have to continue. I think there's a quote that says success is what you repeatedly do. So you have to be committed. Maybe in the beginning you are committed to getting that degree, right? And you are chasing towards it. But at the end of the day, you also know that you probably need a job, right? So you not only are you chasing that degree, you are networking, you're helping to set yourself up for what comes next, right? So that's where I think um, you can achieve, but success is something that would be long term. And even if you define it now, 5 years from now, that definition might change, because you might have hit your goals and then you are looking at something else. Or it could be the same, but you continue to be consistent at chasing it. So I don't think it could be a deterrent to or like your personal goals. I think it's something that actually fuels you to continue chasing that definition of success and whatever it looks like, and getting clear on what you need to do to get there. Now, you don't have to have everything figured out. Maybe it's just helpful to know what your next step is. And after you get there, then you can define again, what do I need to do next, since that I have achieved this one thing that was right in front of me. Does that make
But
sense?
if you remember the book where he went to MIT, there were this group of guys who had done very well. They were all very successful, but however, their why became very fuzzy, and some
Hmm.
of them, even though they had hit all these goals, it just maybe because sometimes when you become successful, you no longer measure your why, you start to measure the results. And in the process of measuring the results, you may lose focus of your why and then start to chase your results. It's
Right.
just, yeah. Okay. You want to read the next question or you want me to?
Please read the next question.
Okay. There is a question here. Okay. Okay. So, what pressures could pull you away from your why? Hmm.
That's a
You
good
know,
one.
it's a good one.
What
It's a what?
what
Yeah.
pressures? Definitely fear,
Yes.
right? So fear of what if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Fear of starting over could be really scary, and I'll have to learn a lot. There might be a learning curve, or fear of who even needs this service that I want to bring
I'm
to the world,
offering.
right? Am I good
Yeah,
enough?
yeah,
So inferiority complex, I think that's what it's called, or
yeah.
imposter
Imposter
syndrome. That's what I'm
syndrome.
thinking about. So
Yeah,
those fears could keep you from getting there. But on the other side, I think fear could also be a motivator, right?
huh.
Fear of, well, I don't want to stay where I'm at. Fear of, what if I never get to my potential? So it could be both sides of the same coin, but I think, you know we should look more of the why and be more positive about it, and not really let fear stop us from moving ahead.
Yeah.
What do you
I agree.
think?
Yes, that's legit. Like fear could stop you from your why.
Hmm.
Sometimes also your why may not really have a good uptake in the society. You
What do you
know,
mean by that?
so not everybody's why. It not how would I don't have a good example to say it. My why. Sometimes we are in our own worlds, right?
Hmm.
You have to test an idea to know if people are going to buy the idea, to know if the idea is going to fly. So your why may not actually be something that people are interested in, right? So
Okay,
if you're gonna
true.
make if you yeah, so if you're gonna make a product, how you sure? I'm just saying things that could stop, things that could make. Let me go back. What pressures could pull you away from your why? So
Hmm.
if I have an idea and I have this idea, I put it out there and no one buys it. My
Hmm.
that's pressure. I can't keep going if you don't have the resource to keep going. If you don't have
Hmm.
people who buy into your idea and want to work with you, so
Hmm.
those are to me those are real pressures that can stop you. You know.
So if you don't have the support or buy-in,
Y-
that's what I'm
Yes,
hearing.
yes, you don't have because if you are visionary, you need people who
Hmm.
need to work with you. But if the idea, no one really digs that idea, then
Hmm.
no one's going to buy into that. And then if you put products out there that no one really wants, your why might be crystal clear, but that why is not a why that resonates with a bunch of people, then you're not going to have the resources. And then Grace said lack of resources needed can also pull you away from your why. Yes, it can. So
Yeah.
those are my take on that.
Yeah. No, that's a really good way to think about it, because I feel like that's a very real answer, especially for people who are starting off in their business, or even people who just kind of stalled in their business,
Yeah,
perhaps, right?
yeah,
Or you can even apply it to other aspects of our lives, but the business
yeah.
one just kind of jumps out at me. So that's very possible. Um, Okay, so we have more comments here. Let's read them before we I guess
Okay.
move on to the next question. So if you guys have more questions, please let us know. Um, success Zuhair says success for farmers to have a tree to become big to produce a lot of fruits, but it becomes subject to the vagaries of wind that may bring it down. And then if you interview for a job and your why is so rightly to make money, they will think they're too money centric. And then the whole reason for the existence of a company is to make money for shareholders, right? It sounds like a double edged sword, right? You're saying I'm coming here to make money, right? And they're thinking, well, it's not all about money. Sorry, we have a guest.
We have a guest. He should join the book club. Hey,
Right.
Crystal, I see you. Pratibha, I see you as well. So if you interview for a job and your why is to rightly make money, they will think you're too money centric. But because your why is clear, does not mean you don't apply discretion on how you share your why. There's a time and a place for you to share. Number one, there are some people you would never share your why with because they are dream killers, so you don't share it with them. And when you go for an interview, it's the first thing you ask is not how much money do I make. You should ask that, but there's a time and a place for that.
Hmm. I
Yes.
see you have your master negotiator hat on. Okay, I see you. I see you. Okay, well, thank you for the comments. And let's see. The
So,
next question. Let's
okay.
see.
So, how do you reconnect when your clarity fades?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Because it happens,
Yeah.
right?
It
So
happens
it
for
happened to
for him.
Simon
To,
Sinek,
to, to,
right?
to Simon, yeah, it did, and he
Right.
got really depressed. But I think at that point he didn't really have his why clarified. That's the process. That brought him to this whole process of why, how, and what. That's what helped him come up with the golden circle. That's led to
Right.
all of this that we're doing now.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't like, I think first thing is, how do you even know? Because sometimes we just keep going and we
Yeah.
don't realize that our why has faded. You keep looking at the numbers. Maybe you're like, oh, you know your why, but then even though you know your why, there's some metrics you need to measure your why by. If you are in business, numbers are very important. So it's so easy to get distracted, and you look at those numbers and you don't even know you've lost sight of your why. Like
Hmm.
Walmart, for example, I don't know if the kids realize they've lost sight of their why. Maybe they think, oh, all we need to do is just have products that are affordable, that are not, because Walmart relatively has inexpensive products. That's the place you
Right.
go to, you buy. However, they've been
Yeah.
faced with so many lawsuits, so it's so easy to lose sight of it. So the first thing is to know, okay, have I lost sight of my why?
Right.
And I think once you can realize that, then it's relatively easy. It's like when you're driving, when you know you're going in the wrong direction, at least
Hmm.
that's the first step. I'm going in the wrong direction, and then you can recalibrate
Yeah.
and maybe sharing your vision with people who are like-minded, having your vision
Yeah.
written. And that's my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head is having that introspection, right?
Yeah.
And then also having the right people there to help drive the car, if you will. So I
Yes.
don't think I have anything else to add there, except maybe on a personal note, right?
Yeah.
If you are feeling burned out, because that could happen too,
Yeah.
you need to kind of step back and see maybe this is not fun anymore, right? I think personally you should think about how do I get back to having that energy? Do I need to take a break? Do I need to um, like do some kind of self-reflection? So it could mean different things for different businesses, but I think you know businesses who are focused on making money, like you said, you're looking at your bottom line. You need to make sure that you are making profits, you are moving forward. But if you feel like you've lost your why, or you're deviating from it, maybe hire more new people, maybe fire the top executives, like as an example in the book, and have fresh people who get the why and could kind of rally the others, the what of the organization, to bring it back. But it takes a lot of introspection to get to a
Yeah.
point where you're like, this isn't working. Not only is this not working, how do we fix it? Right.
Yes.
On a personal note, if you're feeling burned out, you can probably get a lot of suggestions, like take a vacation, or do something that you enjoy doing, or get a different job, for example. So, but I think the
Yeah.
two key points there is recognizing that it has happened and
Yeah.
then working towards fixing it.
Yes, because if you go back to the book, you can see how when he was talking about Steve Jobs, he left and then Apple lost its why, and then he came back and
Hmm.
Apple found its why again.
What again?
So
Right.
a big mistake is that many organizations they have no succession plan on how to transfer the why from one person to another. So hey,
Yeah.
don't stop. We like your comments. Just keep bringing it. He's too funny. We're here. So it's to make sure the why is crystal clear, that
Hmm.
anyone who is there knows the why. Like Southwest, for example, they changed their CEO multiple times, but their why is still clear. They want to serve the everyday person, so everyone has that
Hmm.
opportunity to fly. But other
Hmm.
places, they once the CEO wasn't there anymore, the why just disappeared with that person.
Right. Yeah.
So, do you want to read what Zohair wrote?
Okay, so here says your why fades because your why changes. At the beginning of your career, your why is to make money and become successful. For some people, it is. In the latter part of your career, the why becomes to be significant. You want to move from being successful to being significant to others.
Yeah, or is it that
What do
the
you
why?
think?
I don't know if the why. It depends. It depends on how emotionally developed or how yes you are, right? So for some people it's not like the why changed, it's that they lost focus of their why. And then for some, yes, the why changed because we
Mhm.
evolved and the reasons why we do things evolve over time. So yes, for some it's that it was clear, it got
Mhm.
fuzzy. For some, the why changed. So yes.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay. Alrighty.
sounds good. So we have
So
one last question, right?
yes.
Okay. Take it away.
So Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you can't, or you think you can't, you're right. So do you agree? Do you find it motivating, unrealistic, or a mix of both? Or where do you see mindset helping or holding someone back? I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Or maybe it's
Yeah.
a mixture. Maybe it's a mixture.
Right? I have to say I've heard that quote before, right?
Yes.
But after reading this book, I have a little bit of a change, right? I think mindset is very, very important. So
Mhm.
I can connect it to public health. There's something called self-efficacy, and that is the belief that you can actually do something and
Yeah,
that your actions will actually affect the outcomes, hopefully in a
correct.
positive way, right?
Yeah.
So, and when we you look at like conceptual models in public health, a lot of them include self-efficacy because what you think about yourself and your abilities are actually very, very important. So,
Right.
but I think this quote is first only talking about mindset, right? So it's not only mindset that you need, right? So the mindset, but mindset is kind of like a big base, right? So once you have that, then let's say you're building a pyramid. Once you have the base, right, then other things can fall. At least in my mind, once you
Yeah.
have that mindset, it helps you to determine whether or not you will take action. So if you have a mindset that I can actually do this, it affects the fact that you will take actions and that you will actually get the outcomes that you desire, right? So I think it's very important for really for anyone, any goal that you have, that you believe that you can actually do it. Because if you don't believe that you can do it, why even try, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll stop there.
Yes. No, some people will try so people can see that they tried. You know, you can say, "Hey, I knew I could. I can't. I already know I can't do it. You think I'm not putting in the effort? Okay, let me show you that I can't. I don't have the ability to do it." I mindset. Why I said yes and no, I think most of it is yes.
Mhm.
There's this phrase that I read in a book years and years ago. It says, one ship sails east, another ship sails west, and it's the
Mhm.
same ocean. How come one goes east and the other goes west? It's the set of the sail. Just the way the set of the sail determines the direction of the ship, so also the set of our hearts determine where we go in life. So
Mhm.
if one person, if you set your sail to say, hey, I can accomplish this, what would
Mhm.
happen is you will start to look for the resources to enable you to accomplish those things. You would look for help, you would get people, you would get the training that you need if you truly
Mhm.
believe you have the ability. But if you feel you do not, then every little disappointment, okay, the person who thinks they can, they're still going to face hardship, they're going to face disappointment. But when they face those disappointment, they're not going to just rest their oars and say, oh well, I knew I couldn't do it. They're like, okay, how do I find a way around this? But when you feel inherently you cannot, once you face the least resistance, you're like, I knew it, I knew this was not going to work out. Yes. So I you know what, I say yes. I was going to say maybe,
Yeah.
for example, I think I can fly, right? If I really want to, you know what I'm like, but I don't have the ability.
Right.
But if I really think I can, I'll go look for ways to do it. I could go, I could go skydive and say, hey, see, I'm flying, right? I
Yeah.
could, there's so many ways to make it happen. So
Yeah.
I think yes now.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Nice.
Yes. So let me talk about what's going to happen next month. So next month we're moving on to a new book. So here we have a new book, 10x is easier than 2x. So full disclosure, I've read this book before and it is phenomenal. And I'm not just saying it's phenomenal just to use nice words to describe the book. It is actually phenomenal. It's those kind of books that once you read, it would change you. It would change how you operate. It would make you more efficient. It would make you know where to rest your priorities. So it's a really good book. I hope you all join us. And Zohair, I think you should join us in the school community so you can put all these comments there so people can learn from you. It's a really good book. That's what we are doing. And the coolest part is that I have two co-hosts next month. One of them may not be able to join every evening, so I got another person. So it will be three people. One of them, it's so interesting. One of them, he's really young. He's 18. I don't know if he wants me to disclose his age, but he's really young. He's even less than 18. And then the other, she's worked with WHO. She has all this experience. So it would be a really good mix to have that young perspective to make me see things I would never see. It will be really great. And in I just want to say thank you so much for showing up consistently these 5 weeks with your kids. Just let your kids know that I appreciate them letting me letting me enjoy you as my co-host these 5 weeks. Just your husband, your kids, your job. I know it's not convenient, but you showed up consistently. I truly, truly appreciate you. And hopefully we can co-host again before the end of the year.
Sure. Happy to be here. Thank you for this opportunity, and it was really fun. And thanks for
Yes,
everyone who joined, made comments, read the book, and went on this journey with us. So thank you all.
yes. And I will see you guys next I think it's next Thursday. Same time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.